anyone looking to rent in Australia is likely to know about the rental crisis that's been happening here. Ella, do you know about the rental crisis?
Not really, because I'm not looking for a house.
She's not looking to rent. What's basically happened is that the construction of new properties hasn't kept up with the demand, where there's so many new people coming into the country. So many people have migrated within the country. And also a lot of people who have got rental properties have ended up using them as Airbnbs or short-term rentals as opposed to long-term rentals for people. So therefore, certain areas have suddenly become overloaded with people. They're actually saying that by 2027 there's going to be a shortage of around 106,000 properties. The reality of it at the moment is that many people have had to move out of areas that they've lived in their whole lives. So for example, here on the Sunshine Coast, many people have moved either inland or up towards the Gympie area because it's a lot cheaper and also there was more property still available. There's also people that work on the coast and haven't been able to leave or wanted to leave because of their jobs, and they've ended up staying, even if they've not got a home, they've ended up staying in their cars. So a lot of the car parks near the beaches particularly and national parks, have got people sleeping in their cars or their vans whilst they're still trying to look for a property and stay close by for work. If you're looking to rent in Australia or you're coming this way, then this is the video to watch.
We've got some great tips to help you find a rental.
Being on the other side of the world, moving to Australia, hearing these things might be quite alarming to you, and we do get a number of messages asking, how long people will need to book temporary accommodation for, how long should they give it to be able to get a rental, because they know it's not as easy as it used to be. So we've got some solutions.
You need to make sure your application stands out.
Indeed. Make sure it stands out from the crowd. Use a cover letter and don't make it a sob story. I think there's a lot of agents receiving sob stories at the moment, but you do want to make it stand out for the right reasons. What would be the benefits of a potential landlord having you in their property as opposed to someone else?
Mummy, what else do you think would be a good idea to rent?
Well, Ella, I think that putting in a good offer is a really good idea. There's little things that you can do to make yourself stand out and make your offer a little bit different to other people's. Maybe you're a tradie and you could offer to do some work on the property for the landlord, or maybe you could offer to look after a bit of the garden or outside area that wouldn't usually be kept maintained by a tenant. Maybe you could offer to pay 6 months in advance so they know their rent is paid. Make sure that you've got a good rental history and make sure you've got your bond and everything ready to go immediately. Also, make sure that you keep in contact with property managers. Make sure that you're at the top of their list because they've spoken to you last. Make sure that you're calling them, emailing, have you got any new properties coming up? Maybe not something that's on the market, but something that's going to become available soon. If you're in constant contact with them, they're not going to forget you. And the moment they get a new property on, they're going to be thinking of you.
Search for properties that are off market.
You don't need to wait until a property goes online on, say, realestate.com. You could do your searches elsewhere. Go on Facebook, go on a community locals page, put a post up saying what you're looking for, that you're going to be moving to the area and that you're looking for, a 3-bed house. And you could even scroll the pages and just keep an eye out to see if anyone does post their property privately. Dealing directly with the landlord can sometimes be beneficial, but obviously make sure that you're protected with things like tenancy agreements so that everything's still done the right way. Another great option, which at the moment I think is a brilliant one. Oh my gosh, these birds are so noisy. Another option at the moment that people are not talking about enough is using a relocation agent or a buyer's agent that deals with rentals as well. By using these services, you're taking the pressure off of yourself, and those people are getting paid. Those people have relationships with the agents. This is a really good way at the moment to ensure that you get that rental. It's also a great way to save yourself money on temporary accommodation when you're first moving over. So save yourself the hardship and go straight into your rental property the moment you arrive in Australia. Although you might be paying out for using these services, you will save the money that you'd be spending on the temporary accommodation. I think that this is a really great option at the moment for people who are looking to move over to Australia, don't know the market, and also are worried about being stuck, not being able to find a rental when they arrive. Use an agent, use a relocation agent, or some buyers agents also offer this service, and they're running around doing the hard work for you before you arrive so that you can move straight into your rental property the moment you arrive in Australia.
My last piece of advice is don't stop until you completed the task. Woo!
Ella is absolutely right. Go hell for leather. If you're not using a buyer's agent or relocation agent, go hell for leather and don't stop until you've actually got there. You don't want to go easy and be complacent and then not have somewhere to live. Go hard. Go through every possibility that you possibly can and make sure that you get somewhere. Don't stop until you've done it. The other thing to bear in mind as well is that because of these difficulties, why not use that as an inspiration and an excuse to do something different? We've just had a dog join us. Why not use these difficulties as a reason to do something differently? Because you don't necessarily need to come over here and go straight into a house. Maybe you could use this opportunity to grab yourself a van and go travelling and find where you really want to be. Or maybe if you're coming over on your own without a big family, go into a house share. See if people have got granny flats available to rent, because those are other great options. Maybe don't just look at the obvious ones of getting a house, look at something different to do. I think these kind of times where everything's a little bit more difficult for people with housing, with bills, all of those things, I think that it's a time where people have been a lot more resourceful, and there's no good reason why you can't as well. Think about what other options you've got apart from normal housing that might actually make your adventure more adventurous. If you are moving to Australia, then also be sure to take a look at our ebook series. This is absolute gold for all of you who are moving because it's got loads of hints, tips, stories, and also money-saving advice, which is always a good one. To follow our Instagram to see what we get up to in day-to-day life living here in Australia, and also for more great immigration information.
See you next week.